Whoa. It's never done that for me before.
It does that every time.
Really?
But
It's never done the "this meeting's being recorded" thing when I hit it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to an episode of Phoning It In. This is going to be in the show. I'm Michael Carvelli. That's John Terry. I think he's going to be down below me on the thing. And for the first time in a few weeks, it is Nick Arthur, the first father of the pod.
Proud Papa.
Wow.
Is this the first father that's ever been on the pod?
Oh, I would assume, yeah.
I think so.
Well,
Really?
I mean,
All the guests we've had? I'm trying to think.
Know if I don't know if Creed Bratton has had a child.
True. Nice name drop there. Well done. I was going on the list of like Matt Sunday, Michael Terry, Dave Ryan. I'm just going on the list of people who have been on here.
Francis's brother.
Yeah, I mean, not that it matters, but yeah, we're doing well. We're doing well here, man.
He does. Creed Bratton does have one child, Andy Bratton.
Good company.
So it's
good company there.
Just you and Creed.
Yeah, but hopefully the ship has been sailing smoothly in my absence, as I'm sure it has. I admittedly have not gotten to listen
with Lucas, right?
I really have not gotten to listen to the pod yet.
But it's one of those things like we need him to hear our voices a lot.
Yeah, so
true.
We actually talk about that many times on the. You come
up
a lot. We give him
personalized messages on every episode, which we're actually going to start doing. We should start doing as a bit moving forward. Just words.
I don't have much free time
every week,
but I do have a lot of free time where like I have to do things to stay awake.
Yeah.
So maybe during your recordings, just throw in some like really loud noises and just do things. So it's just not like, mundane voices that will put me to sleep.
Yeah.
Not that you guys would ever put me to sleep.
How dare you?
It's been we've missed you as we missed Cody as well. But it has been man, it's been fun. Like every time I get a Snapchat or something or like a text, I'm like, Mario, look at baby. It's awesome, man.
Look at baby.
It's just it's
I love Lamp.
Yeah. Yeah, man, just pumped for you. How much sleep have you gotten? And how many times have you been asked that question?
A lot. But I'm super spoiled because we've got grandparents here. So
true.
I mean, weekdays they're working, but like weekends, at any point throughout the day, I can just be like, here, take this baby and just go lay down. And their grandparents, so they're like, please give them to me, please, because grandparents just want to hold the baby. So the first week, the first like 3 nights were just abysmal. You're talking. I think the night he was born, I got about 45 minutes on like the coldest, most uncomfortable hospital chair you can imagine. And then the second night I got like an hour 20. So like after like 2 nights, probably I can't do the math. More than 4 hours. I'm at like 2 hours of sleep. But no, I mean, first week was probably 2 to 3 hours a night, and then maybe like an hour nap during the day if you could. Now it's probably getting closer to like 4 and 5 hours total at night, probably around 4, because he's, his stomach gets bigger, they're eating more. So I'll sleep from like 2 hours from like 9 to 11, and then I'll sleep another 2 hours from like 2 to 4. And then I'll get a nap in throughout the day or 2 naps in throughout the day. So 4 or 5 hours feels great now. I'll just say I could not imagine doing this as a single mother, as a single father, as even heck without the grandparents here. I couldn't imagine, because you have all the other things you have to do, right? You have to clean your house, you have to cook meals, you have to go grocery shopping. These are things that I don't have to worry about right now, which is just incredible.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yep.
We were even talking before we started about like you were showing us some of like the weird high tech things that you guys have, like to monitor all of his like vitals and when he's awake and asleep and all that stuff. And I was just like, just imagine trying to do this back in 1991, like when your mom and dad were dealing with newborn. That's that like.
It's so funny to talk to the grandparents and be like, did you do this one thing? Nah, I didn't do that. Did you, what about this other thing? Did you guys? Nah, you just, I just figured it out. Like, it's such a different world, and it's such a benefit having those things. Like, because I would walk up to him like every 2 minutes and check and see if he's breathing, right? If I didn't have this sock telling me that he's breathing, because that's just like scary.
Yeah,
Um,
I would constantly be doing that.
yeah, so it's reassurance. It's super helpful. Like, his baby monitor goes off when there's motion or sound at his crib, so we even know if he's like tossing and turning. But it's also it also is kind of unfortunate to have the internet and have access to all this information at our hands, because like anytime he starts making a weird sound when he's breathing, or it's been 5 hours since he's pooped and we're getting worried what's going on, you go on Google and it tells you everything about your baby and how everything is bad, really bad, and how you have to go to the ER. So I always feel like, there would be
Wow.
benefit being separated from all
Really,
this information at the same time.
yeah, it's a really good point, because like I will sometimes wake up with like a headache and make the mistake of Googling like a couple non-existent symptoms I think I'm feeling and be like,
Could be
oh
brain
no,
tumor,
oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could not
Yeah.
imagine that with like my child.
Yeah. Yeah. So, again, it's great having the technology, but I have to try to control myself from going to Google every time something appears to be wrong. And now that we're like 3 weeks into this thing, 3.5 weeks in, and we've kind of experienced some different, standard rashes and that sort of stuff that babies get, I'm a little less paranoid now about things. But yeah, at first it was a lot of Googling, a lot of worrying.
Right.
That's horrifying. It's like one of the, like, I want to make sure I'm like really good friends with like a doctor in my life, so that like you can always
Yep.
call them to be like, hey, I imagine if you're a child, like how easy would it have been if like I was a pediatrician, Nick, and you could just pick up the phone and be like, yo,
Yep.
baby has
Well,
this rash on
Francis's
its.
older brother's wife is a doctor,
Oh,
and
perfect.
she's a family doctor, but she, all doctors, like, as part of their rotations, do delivery and pediatrics and all the different
Mhm.
stuff. So
That's
yeah,
perfect.
she's really good, and it's been really helpful. We've been bugging her like crazy.
Oh, man, it's so exciting. It's just so exciting. I'm
Yeah.
just still so tickled. Ugh,
We got our first live look at Lucas.
which is exciting.
Yeah, before we recorded, you showed him to
Mhm.
us, and I don't know. There was a point where he made eye contact with me, and was just like, "You and we've got a bond. I could feel it through the screen."
I can't
Well,
wait for like the next whatever 40 years. You're gonna tell this kid at every opportunity that you guessed his fucking name, and it's
Not
gonna be
only the name,
so
not only
annoying.
the name was pretty damn near spot on when he would be born. I mean,
there were some
you could
other
never
parallels
do
there.
that, John. You can never say that.
No, I was really hoping for Sebastian.
You thought he'd be named Sebastian,
Seabass.
Sebastian.
Thought it was a great name.
and you thought they
It
were
is a
going to
great
call
name.
him Seabass. That's
Well, no, that was more of a
stupid.
joke.
Could
What
you
a nickname.
imagine?
I don't think anyone in this world has ever been nicknamed Seabass other than that guy on SpongeBob.
Dumb and
who-
Dumber. Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Isn't that the name of the character on SpongeBob too? Whenever he forgot the pickles.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
two
other
real
questions you guys
gems,
got?
John, that you want this child to be.
I've got 5 minutes left until I got to return to dad duty. What else we got for me?
Okay, we have our first press conference that we wanted to do. We had the idea of doing dad press conferences with you. We will continue these with you just sending us voice memos via text whenever you can't be in here. But since we got you
Okay.
live, let's go ahead and get this first one out of the way. I will go ahead and go first because I think John is still game planning one, but I've got one.
Putting the burp cloth over my shoulder, kind of like the towel after the game, Okay.
Great feel to
Go
it.
ahead.
I have this is probably me overthinking things. The name Lucas Arthur. Now, initials LA, born in LA. Was that intentional?
It was not actually. It was not intentional. It's also the same initials as my sister, Leanne
Also
Arthur.
true, yeah.
But no, it's really cool that was a thing. Again, wasn't planned. Didn't even think about it, to be honest.
I thought of it like right away.
I think it was the morning that he was born, and Francis had made the comment, because we hadn't finalized the name until he was born. We had few
Wow.
finalists. I'm
Can
not
we
sure
talk
if I'm
about
allowed
what-
to reveal those.
No, okay. We can't get
We'll talk to see if those are for release at this time.
I'm just curious if mine made the top 5. Really.
We'll put in a FOIA request.
John, yours was not in the top 5. Yours at no point in time was even considered. It's the name of her aunt's dog, Sebastian. And again, we wanted names that were going to be the same in English and Spanish, pronunciation wise. And obviously, Sebastian in English is very different than Sebastian in Spanish. So Lucas is going to be the same both ways. But
Yeah, baby.
to answer your question, no, didn't know about LA, but it's a great little thing because, who knows where we're going to be 20, 30 years from now.
Yeah.
And the LA has been a good part of our lives as far as us getting settled as adults and now having a child. So really cool that those initials will give us that reminder.
Awesome.
Nice.
All
right.
I thought about that and I was like, oh, that'd be really cool if they did that intentionally, but I kind of figured it wasn't.
Isn't that also the symbol for LaGuardia Airport, LRA?
Oh, I think
or
it
is that
actually.
LGA?
John would probably
It's
know.
LGA. It's LGA.
No,
It's LGA.
Never mind. Ignore me.
Yeah. All right. My question. Maybe you have 2 minutes here. All right. So, I want to ask you. I want you to. Okay. So, was there a moment, or I guess, what was the moment when you realized that, like, oh shit, this is real? So, like not like you, not a regret, or not like oh, this is like I'm in love with this kid, because that was like when you probably saw him the first time. But what was the moment where it was like, holy shit, I'm responsible for a baby. I have to like do things, like this baby's not going away anytime soon. Like you can't return it to the pound like a dog. Like, what was that moment?
Probably like when we get home from the hospital, right? And there's no nurses that are like monitoring him at all times. And you're running on like 2 hours of sleep over the last 2 or 3 days. And he's having a cry fest where you just can't figure out what he wants, right? It's just, he's inconsolable. You can't solve the cry fit. And that moment is probably when you're just, it's like, damn, like this is tough. This is tough, right? But yeah, no regrets, nothing like that. But that's probably the moment where, like, holy shit, this is real. We got to figure this out. I'm responsible for figuring this out. No one else is going to figure this out for me. And this could happen for 6 months until he's like older and more calm. But
a quick follow-up. I know you only have 30 seconds. When there was that cry fest, one, were you afraid that neighbors were going to start hating you, or did that not even cross your mind? And two, how long did the cry fest actually last for?
a little worried about the neighbors, yeah, just because that's how I think as a person. We're an apartment, building, so yeah.
I will also say, as a person who once lived in an apartment next door to a newborn, you can hear sometimes.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that as well. But a little worried about them, yes. And what was the second part of that? Sorry.
How long did the cry fest last for?
Hey, Francis.
He's coming. He's coming.
You got brief appearance.
There he is.
What was the second part? Sorry.
How long did the cry fest last for?
5 to 10 minutes is really all that it is. But that seems like an eternity, right?
Hours and hours.
Yeah, especially when they're just gasping for air, and like they're just like turning purple because they're so
like oxygen
just wound up, right? Yeah. And so upset. So yeah, but it's going well, guys. It's going really well. We're learning. We're getting better every day. We're starting to soothe better. Starting to sleep more. I go back to work on Friday, so that's going to add another wrinkle into things as far as getting some rest. But yeah, I'm hoping this can be a more consistent appearance for me as Lucas eats more and sleeps more and is a little easier to keep calm.
Right.
It was great having you.
Yeah, it was so great to have you. Loved it. We love you guys. We love Lucas. We're very excited. It's so cool. I don't know. It's so makes my day every time.
Hey, anybody can go and get one of these. Just remember that. This isn't a proprietary being that we have here. These are
but like if it's
the
not mine, I can just like be like, oh, that's cute. Then
Yeah, you have to worry about those crying moments and those moments of being overwhelmed. Yeah. Well, 10 things I hate about you. I would give it
like the 35 minutes you were able to watch.
So it's not a thumbs up, but it's not a thumbs down, but it's not in the middle. I would give it one of these.
Okay.
So far, it has some good moments. Soundtrack was great from the parts that I heard. Had a pretty good cast as well. Mm-hmm. Seeing Heath Ledger and some of those people really young was really cool.
Yeah.
So It had some down moments in those first 25, 30 minutes that I did see, but overall,
Gotta
I
get
think it's going to
rolling.
be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you'll like it whenever you get to finish it. But I was very happy I was like very surprised and happy to see you were like, oh yeah, I'm starting this to see how it is. And I was like, oh, perfect.
Hey, I'll get these little pockets of 40 minutes where he's asleep and I'm watching him and I need to stay awake and I'll put on a movie, but then he'll start crying and things will get put on pause.
Right. He'll figure it out. But
All
yeah.
right, gang.
Thank you. Of
Enjoy the pod. Glad to be a part of it. We'll see you guys soon.
course.
All
See you,
right,
man.
go burp the
Later,
baby.
guys.
All
How
right.
great was that, man? How great was that?
That
What
was awesome.
what a way to start what a way to start the thing.
It's like a perfect way to do it.
We got to see Fran. I got to eat my dinner because Nick was talking for most of the time. It was perfect.
The YouTube viewers are gonna love getting to watch you eat. It's gonna be awesome.
I was like eating off screen, whatever.
Yeah.
It wasn't very good either. Chick-fil-A probably would have been better.
Wow. Just
Here's my thing about shrimp and grits is two things. One, shrimp and grits, when you have to eat shrimp with a fork, the tail should never be on it because you got to use your hands to get the tails off. It's a pain in the ass. And two, I hate when it's like soaked in like sausage oil and stuff.
Yeah.
I prefer it to be more like buttery and whatever, but
good point.
It was good. It was good. The catfish was good. There was catfish in there too.
Ooh, yeah. Always
Solid.
great. We should say I'm actually very excited to talk about where you're at right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because as people can tell by the generic, what is that art behind?
Actually, this is a fair. It's a very boutiquey hotel.
Oh,
actually,
so it's a hotel. But that was what I was gonna say. You can tell from the view of John's room. He's not down in his basement. He is in a hotel once again. You are in Hartford, Connecticut. What's in Hartford now?
Hartford, Connecticut. What do you mean? What's in Hartford?
Like where? Why are you there?
Pratt and Whitney Stadium at Winchester Field.
Like just a tour?
We have 2 women's games on July 1st and July 5th against Mexico.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
It's the Sindoff series.
Right.
Sponsored by Visa.
Yeah, Visa.
Presented by Visa.
And that's a sponsor of this podcast.
So yeah, and back in Hartford for the first time since our days of covering the Big East. First time since
the loyal listeners of the Phoning It In podcast extended universe, we'll call it, like they do with like Marvel and all that.
Right.
We'll know that Hartford holds a very special place. It was the first road trip that I think it was the first road trip that I did as a reporter ever, period.
It was the first one for you, and it was the first one we took together.
First one we did together. First one I did ever, period. And the first place that the two of us ever recorded a podcast.
Recorded a podcast.
Show.
Just about 2 blocks that way.
I should have worn a bathrobe.
So I'm at a hotel. It's 2 blocks away, and then we actually have people in the Hilton as well. Yeah. And part of me is like, shit, I should have gone to the Hilton, not told them, and worn the bathrobe when we were recording, like right in front of the window. It would have been perfect.
Yeah. Just two bros. You were gracious enough to not leave me alone. Other people that we were with went out to bars because they were 21. I was the only one in our group.
Who were we with?
Yet. I don't know. We don't need to throw people under the bus.
I thought it was just us two.
No, because there were we had I think we had 3 reporters and we had a photographer.
Got it. Okay.
I don't want to throw anybody under the bus if they were maybe former guests of the show, but I don't know if a former guest was.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But so yeah, back in Hartford, I also remembered as we were doing this that like looking back, one of the big things that we always did with trips, and one of the things that I now chastise you for when you go on trips, is not really taking advantage of being there food wise.
Okay.
Because I feel like I remember we took multiple trips to like Subway when we were in Hartford.
Yeah, I ever since you gave me shit for getting the Chick-fil-A, I've actually been really good. Tonight, we're allowed to get to-go food now.
I was supposed to talk about how bad how in retrospect how wasteful our experience was.
So I was super worried about that coming here because I knew like we didn't eat anything. Yeah. So I was like Googling a bunch of places. And I went to a southern food place tonight, which is pretty good. There's a place that, and I don't know if you remember it, it was right behind the Hilton. There was like this Mexican place called Agave. And I remember, I don't know if I was with you or Gothrop, and we looked inside and we ended up not going there. But apparently they have like the best fish tacos in Hartford.
I know we did go to one place that was not Subway that we had a burger. I had like a chili cheeseburger, I remember. It was pretty good.
That was the one. It was like directly behind the Hilton, all the way back. It was like the bar. There was the bear. There was the wooden bear out front.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually looking that up today because I was curious what that was, and it is still a bar, but I don't believe it's the same.
Okay.
I don't believe it's the same bar. It's called the Russell now.
Okay.
We like sat at the bar, I believe. It was like a wooden. Yeah, this is totally it. And it turned into a nightclub at night. I remember.
Nice.
But the other thing, if you remember about Hartford, when we were looking at, and we talked about this on the podcast we recorded, was the number of police cars everywhere.
Yeah, because we had
there were just
like several sirens going off when we were recording.
And I remember thinking like, God, is this place like safe to walk around? Like I'm gonna be walking to get food and stuff. Like, is this safe? But anyways, so happy to be back here, man. It's cool. I forgot like just driving in, like how old Hartford is. Like there's some old, like this is an old building. Like there's some old buildings. So I'm gonna try to go on some runs and like check some out. I think July 4th, like might go try to see fireworks somewhere in a socially distant manner. But super cool to be back. So here we are.
It's really when you said you were going there, I was like, oh man, that's so neat. Just hadn't really thought about. I don't know. It's not a place that you think about often. It's not a trip that I think about often. As weird as that sounds for being the first one. Just because it was so early on, and like, I mean, no, like it sounds awful to say this, I guess, but like being able to go out and like drink on some of these trips is part of the fun. Like being able to go out and do things like that.
And I never did that on like any of the trips really.
Yeah.
I don't because I think I traveled the next year. We went to New York City, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did the Garden.
And you were still, I don't even know if you were 21 yet, but we were inside Madison Square Garden the entire
I didn't
time.
turn 21 until right before our senior year, or my senior year. So by the time you were graduated, I was not.
Right. So, but yeah, man, it's cool. I'm excited to explore, go check things out. I've also never been to the UConn football stadium, which is where we're playing our games, obviously.
That'll be cool.
So it's going to be neat just because I grew up a Georgia Tech fan. So they were in the ACC for a little bit for football, right? I think they were. Or maybe they weren't.
No.
Maybe they played Georgia Tech a couple of times, and then they were in the Big East.
I don't think I ever got to go to UConn either.
So I don't know. We play games here a lot, so it's you know.
I think the last time they played at UConn when I covered the team was my sophomore year, and that was before I got to travel.
Got it.
Because I didn't get to travel until the year after. But yeah, very cool, man. I love it.
Yeah, another city that we've recorded the pod in. So we'll see. I think come September and October, we're gonna knock off a few more.
So let's see. Do we have anything else we want to get into before we do our movie club?
We got the movies. We've been going for about 30 minutes. I do have a meeting in 30 minutes. Oh, look, I'm gonna go 22 minutes.
Yeah.
No, how's your weekend? Let's talk about our weekends. How was your weekend?
Pretty good. I did not do much. I mean, it's one of those weekends where I had like big goals of doing some productive things, and I haven't. I've just kind of like been laying around watching movies, and
nothing wrong with that.
No, but you know,
it's fine. It's a weekend. That's what it's for, man. That's what it's for. I honestly did much of the same. We had another tornado warning. We talked about tornadoes last week on the podcast.
Yeah. Okay. So you said you guys were you flooding bad?
The street in front of us was flooding pretty bad. As soon as it stopped raining, it like went down. We were fine. Okay. But we got like 2 inches of rain in like 2 hours.
What is going on?
Dude, it was insane, man. And then like the tornado was right over Wrigleyville.
Yeah.
But 2 tornado warnings in a week. Like apparently that's not normal.
Crazy.
But it was kind of mad. I mean, we have a tree out in front of our house that I think would hit our neighbors, but it's our tree, so we'd probably get in trouble for that. But I was like nervous that our basement was going to start flooding, just because like Chicago is like sea level, so like when it rains a lot, there's not a lot of space for like the water to go to, so the basements like have flooding issues. So I was getting a little nervous for that. But
that's my parents' house. Whenever it rains really bad, it gets flooding in the basement sometimes.
It was just like. The one on Sunday night, the one that I think we already talked about in the podcast last week.
Yeah.
I mean, you combine the two, and I've never seen so much rain in my life. Like we have those like orange, like the gallon buckets you can get from like Home Depot. They're just like whatever. We had one on our porch, and I kid you not, after like the whole week, there were over 6 inches of water in it. Now it was like kind of beneath like the gutter, so like it could have been like some gutter overflow there into it, but still, like we also just got our gutters cleaned. Thank the sweet Lord, because they were, I mean, full of water. I mean, it was insane the amount of rain that was dropping. But other than that, though, watching Formula One, which I just love. Woke up this morning. I recorded qualifying yesterday and watched qualifying on Saturday while I was working, and then watched Formula One this morning. I also did something interesting this weekend when I went to get beer. I did not get any craft stuff. I got some European beer.
Ooh.
I got a Pilsner and a lager. Amazing how much cheaper it is than like the hopped up USA craft beer.
Yeah.
So that was good though. It was a good change of pace. But yeah, man, now I'm got on a flight this morning. Now I'm here for a week.
There you go. You bringing up Formula One made me think. I did have one thing I wanted to ask you, because I don't know if have you been watching the playoffs still? I know you were watching on and off the NBA playoffs.
Go Hawks, baby. Go Hawks.
Well, that was going to be one thing. Are you pulling for Atlanta for obvious reasons?
Yes. I am pulling for Atlanta, mostly because of the fair weather.
Atlanta fan at all? How can
Not really. I honestly, can I be honest? You know, when Nick after game 1, when the Hawks beat the Bucks,
yeah,
Nick sent a text right when the game ended, and it was like, "Go Hawks." I didn't even know they were playing that night. Had no clue.
Okay. So that was one I was gonna say.
Oh, then on Friday night, I was like meeting a bunch of people, coworkers, because someone was going away, and one of the people was from Atlanta, and she's a big Hawks fan. She's like, "Big game tonight," and I was like, "What are you talking about?" Go Hawks!
They just started as we're recording this.
So they're playing tonight. See, I had no
just
clue, man.
Literally just tipped off, which is
you know what though. What I was actually though before, I mean. I've been wanting to get into the NBA. Like Chicago's obviously a big NBA city, and part of me wanted to become a Bucks fan because the Aston Villa owner is the Bucks owner. My friend David is a big Bucks fan. Mm-hmm. Like I like their like colors and logos. Like I love Milwaukee. I think I've told you that a million times. Mm-hmm. And of course now they're playing each other.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well,
maybe the winner will be my the team I root for.
It's the Here, this is the actual question I had though, because you are I would call you a casual NBA watcher. Sometimes, maybe even less than that, which is perfect. I think
I liked it. I like it a lot more when I put money on the games.
Right, but what I'm saying, when you look at who's left, right, it's Phoenix and the Clippers.
Good. I was going to ask you to lift them or to list them because I have no clue.
Phoenix and the Clippers in the West, the Bucks and the Hawks in the East. 4 good teams, but like really LA is a big market, obviously. Phoenix has guys like Chris Paul.
So
Milwaukee has guys like Giannis. Atlanta has Trae Young. Like
I think the 2 teams in the East are better than the 2 teams on the West, only because like
I guess what I'm saying is something like this more interesting for a person who doesn't watch the NBA? As you, a person who doesn't, are you more likely to watch a finals that's like Hawks versus Suns versus if it was like LeBron and the Lakers against like the Celtics or the Nets with KD and those guys?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the most of an NBA game I watched this year was the LeBron and the LA Golden State game.
Right.
And that was LeBron against Steph. I mean, that was awesome. Yeah. And I hate the NBA. And like the last 8 minutes of that game were wild.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I didn't even know Chris Paul was on the Suns until like he got hurt a couple of weeks ago. I actually know the strength and conditioning coach for the Suns. I was an intern with him at the USOC. He used to be at Stanford. I don't know, man. I love Trae Young. Trae Young's awesome. I think
it's so cool to watch, and that's why I kind of like it like this. Like it's a cool debate that's been going on among like basketball fans. Is like, do you want to see the people who are the older established stars who have been around forever, or do you like to see guys like Devin Booker and Trae Young kind of getting their moment? And it's so awesome to see like Trae Young becoming this like awesome villain.
Yeah.
It's the best.
No, that's true. Yeah, that's fair. That's a good point. I don't know. I think for casual NBA fans, you'd prefer like, unless it's your team, like if the Hawks weren't in this, I would care less than I already care.
Yeah.
So I think for casual NBA fans, I think it's probably better for the star matchup. I think for the NBA as a whole, though, like for the league, I actually think it's better because there just shows more parity for NBA fans. Yeah, dude, if you're an NBA fan of like,
I guess when you said for the
if
league,
you're
you meant like for the league. Like,
no, not the league's probably shitting their pants right now because
yeah,
TV
that's what I was
ratings
gonna
are so
say.
bad. But like, if you're a fan of like the New Orleans, what I don't even know what the Pelicans.
Yeah.
That's how little I struggled with what their name was.
I was happy you got it. I was proud of you.
I used to be able to name like 120 different minor league baseball teams, their cities, and their affiliates, and I can't even name the NBA teams.
Who cares?
I, I I think it's better because you're like, okay, the little guys can win. You know, like Atlanta is like, I'm sorry, Atlanta's a little guy. Yeah. Like as far as I'm concerned, Milwaukee is definitely a little guy.
Not even just they're a little guy, like they were bad.
Really bad. Like you could say Phoenix has been. I mean, Phoenix hasn't been great. Like they were good. Like what?
First time
like
they've been in the playoffs in like a decade.
What since like Steve Nash?
Yeah.
So like, I mean, the Clippers. I feel like they're the LA Clippers, but they're always the Lakers' little brher.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it is cool that as a league you have 4 teams that are not as elite.
I love it.
Making it this far, but
gives hope for maybe one day a Wizards run. You never know.
You never know. And here's the other thing too. Think back 5 years when it was like, LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and it was like the super teams. And I feel like now super teams don't exist as much, but now their teams are figuring out how to win without having. I think
they don't exist as much, but also that's because they kind of exist everywhere.
Right. I think players too want them to players realize that they saw what happened down there. It was a mess because there wasn't like, there were 3 stars. Like people want to be the guy to deliver a city for a championship. You don't want to be one of 3.
Yeah. Well, I think also like the league is at a point now where it's so good that every team has 2 or 3 all-star level players.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good point.
They might not all be all-stars, but like, even you look at the Wizards and like the Wizards have Beal and Westbrook, and that's like one of the better guard combos in the league. And they kind of sucked most of the season. Like that's.
Yeah, no, that's fair point.
It's a really good league.
That's a fair point.
So fun. So much fun. I'm enjoying it a lot.
Shall we talk about movies?
Let's
get a movie. You did not watch the next movie on the list.
I did not. I did not get to. I was watching a bunch of newer movies.
We can table that one.
Yeah. So we did watch the second movie of our movie club rom-com showdown. After You've Got Mail a couple weeks ago, this week we did 10 Things I Hate About You from 1999. It was my choice. Basically, the story is the synopsis from Letterboxd. On the first day at his new school, Cameron instantly falls for Bianca, the gorgeous girl of his dreams. The only problem is she cannot date until her undateable older sister, Kat, goes out too. And then basically from there, Cameron comes up with a plan in order to get Kat a girlfriend so he can get the girl. This is a rom-com that I chose. It is one of my favorite rom-coms. It is one of my favorite like high school movies. Mm-hmm. It's one of my favorite movies with like ties to Shakespeare. It's great. And it might be some nostalgia, but I don't care. John, how'd you feel about it?
Okay. Coolest thing was it was shot in Seattle. It was shot in Tacoma.
Yes, it was.
But it was based in Seattle. So it's Stadium High School is this high school, and I'm sure people have seen pictures of it, but it's this old historic high school like that's overlooking the Puget Sound, and the stadium is literally like right on the water. Yeah. So like that was super cool to see.
It looks great.
It was like cool.
It's a perfect setting for a movie like this.
The movie, okay, so a couple things. I don't love old movies. Let's just get that out of the way.
This isn't that. First up, you loved You've Got Mail, which is older than this.
You didn't let me finish.
I don't care. I just want to point that out. This is from 1999. It's not that old.
But I actually thought this one was pretty good. Mariel and I noticed something interesting when watching this movie, and then actually another movie too, is the older movies when they do like the green screens. They're when they like, because all these movies older movies have been enhanced to like work on like 4HD and all this stuff. Right. The green screens are way more obvious.
Oh yeah.
To spot.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, I thought they actually did a really good job. There wasn't that many. We talked about it, and Nick mentioned it before the show started, but how movies like age, right? Yeah. So movies age in a bad way. there, other than like a couple of words, like it honestly didn't. It was okay. Like
A
it wasn't
couple
like
words. There's the part where Julia Stiles, who plays Kat, like flashes a teacher.
that was weird. That
That's
part
just
made me
odd.
uncomfortable. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, really, it's yeah for a movie made in 1999, it has not aged super poorly. I think. I don't know. I think it's a great story.
The beginning of the movie was a little slow for me, and I was like, "Well, this is dumb." But I will admit, by the end of the movie, it was great. I had never seen it. I don't know that I've ever seen a movie with Heath Ledger before. I don't watch a ton of movies,
But like, I
and
feel
maybe
like everyone watched The Dark Knight.
I've never seen that.
Really?
Yeah. So
Oh
I
my
honestly didn't
gosh.
even know like what his deal was. We've talked about it. We had talked about it in terms of this movie
He's
before.
incredible.
He was cool, man. I By the end of the movie, I was like, this guy's awesome.
He is just this movie. He's like just so cool.
Yeah, yeah. Like there are a couple of things that
Like
like
an
that
all-time
bother.
cool guy performance.
The scene when there were like 6 different sports teams practicing on the
Mm.
field at one time, and him and his like crackhead buddy are just like smoking on a bench in the middle of the field. I was like, that would never happen.
Well, but he's the
But
rebel. He can do it. He runs the school. I mean, this is a guy who's been in jail. He's all these like wild tall tales about him. It's great.
but no, it was good. Like I enjoyed it. I thought
Yeah.
like the party scene was awesome.
Party scene was great.
That was fun. Like I didn't really know what was happening, and they like show these like nerds who are like sitting down, and Mary was like, oh yeah, and I was like, oh, I put it all together, and I was like, oh, they're about to crash this house. This is great.
Yeah.
And then when they threw the guy through the window or whatever, that was just hilarious. So it's good. Wasn't my favorite chick flick. I'm glad I finally watched it. It was just a different type of chick flick.
Yeah. I think it is the best. I think in terms of my like, if we're saying best romantic comedies, I don't think it's going to be like as high as some others.
Because I wouldn't really call it a romantic comedy. I
It
would call
absolutely
it.
is.
Yeah,
It
I would call it
absolutely
more like,
is.
yeah, maybe. Okay, fine. But
It's about people trying like,
high school romantic comedy. I
yeah,
think it's different. Yeah, yeah.
I think among my favorites, it's in the top 5. Like
Wow.
in terms of ones that I could just rewatch over and over and over again. I could watch this all the time and never get old.
Interesting.
But I think that's partially because, and this is why I was so surprised that you and Nick had not seen it. I feel like it was on cable constantly when we were growing up. Like I watched this a lot. Like by the time I was in high school, I had watched it several times.
I didn't watch many movies because I
I
hated
know
the
you and your
commercials.
brother need to watch like actual TV when you were children. Like you need a mulligan on that.
Sports Center, man. It was good though. It was good. I appreciate you making me watch it.
Yeah,
for sure.
it's a good cast. I mean, Ledger, like we said, great, and goes on to do great things. And like
You got CJ Craig in there. You
this
got
made me so bummed about not getting to see him in other stuff. You know, Allison Janney, like you said.
the guy who my favorite character in the movie was the nerdy friend.
Yes.
Who is the elf in Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Loved him. I love that character. By far the best character.
So funny. So funny. And him being kind of like the guy pulling all the strings to make their plan work with the with Joey, the really dumb guy.
The rich dude.
Yeah, like having him be the person like pulling all the strings on Joey. So good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that you have like the romantic stuff. You have like some really funny moments. I think it's probably the best high school rom-com.
I could see that. I don't know I don't know that I know others.
Or of like, well, because there's a lot. There's, especially now, like Netflix is churning out crappy ones seemingly every month. Like, I think this is really good. I think it's really good for that.
So now I guess we need to rank them.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we have so far? I'm having trouble pulling up
so far
list.
we have You've Got Mail and Palm Springs, which is a carryover from our season 1.
And how did we rate them?
We have in that order. You've Got Mail, then Palm Springs.
Okay. For me, this would be a clear third. Mostly because I like You've Got Mail. I can maybe put it above Palm Springs.
I had a feeling that this was going to be a fight. I think, oh man, it's so weird. I have such a hard time. I think Palm Springs is a better movie. I need to put aside my stupid like biasism nostalgia.
Okay.
And
Well, that's okay.
because I would
I
put
could
it
do it above Palm
in
Springs.
like I'm thinking of this as we are basically putting together and it's a larger list than this, but I'm thinking in terms of like a Mount Rushmore of this genre of movie.
Okay.
And if you're making a Mount Rushmore of this, I think 10 Things I Hate About You would have a spot on there over Palm Springs.
That's fair. I could see that.
I think that's the way I'm looking at it.
We can put it at number 2. You've Got Mail for me was much
I think You've Got Mail's it's better. But
like the cast in You've Got Mail is like, you can't put a high school like type movie over You've Got Mail in my opinion.
I've got a soft spot for this one. So I'm voting
number 2. Number 2 it is.
Love it. So that
look at how agreeable we are.
I'm
wait. Fascinated though for the next movie we watch.
You think why?
It is one of my favorite movies.
Interesting.
A new age chick flick rom-com, starring Sandra Bullock.
Yep.
And
Sandy
Ryan
B.
Reynolds.
Okay.
The Proposal.
The Proposal. Here's what's fun about this. I've never seen it.
You've never seen it.
I have never seen it. I think I will be 100%.
I think you're gonna like it.
I'll be 100% honest with you. I think I will like it. I, however, do not have super high hopes for it.
It's good, man.
I think it's going to be I'm just in my mind, I'm thinking of it as like a Hitch level rom-com.
I've never seen Hitch.
You've Got Mail level, but you know what I mean. Like I'm thinking.
Well, okay, but can I say something too? As we start to rank these, if we don't pull nostalgia out a little bit, all the old movies are going to win. We're never going to have any new movies.
I don't think. I mean, well, first off, this isn't that much. I mean, this isn't like super young either at this point.
It was like 2008.
12 years.
Yes. Was it actually 2008?
2009.
Oh, wow. Well, that's pretty good. I knew that. I think it's a great movie. It has a ton of humor. I love the, this isn't giving anything away, but it's,
I mean, I know the story.
It's based in Alaska, in Sitka, Alaska. It was actually filmed in Massachusetts, in Westport, Massachusetts, I believe.
Gotcha.
So Mariel's actually been there, and she like noticed like there was a house or something that she recognized, and she's like, "That's cool. Not Alaska." I just like the background, like the scenery, like it's just, I don't know, it's cool. They got some good, like some familiar characters or actresses in there.
I know the story. I know most of the people in it, like especially looking through the cast list right now. I'm excited for it. It's gonna be. It's gonna be a fun movie to watch for sure.
Yeah,
I'm excited to have it. These are the kinds that I'm saying like I'm really excited to watch for this thing.
And this
it's one thing to watch the ones that are kind of like, especially the older ones that came through and like are thought of as like the best of the best, like your You've Got Mails, your Sleepless in Seattle's, etc. Like, yeah, those are great and obviously deserve a spot here. But for stuff like this, it's going to be kind of cool to watch some of the ones that are from when we were growing up and we're kind of watching
in our high school days
and getting introduced to this on its own, because I think we kind of like those a lot for those reasons.
Yeah. So I'm curious, very curious.
Can't wait.
How you like it. And this one is, I believe it's not streaming, right? Like it is
TV. Not, but we happened to look it up and you said you guys had it recorded already from your
on
DVR.
YouTube TV. Yep.
And then I looked it up on like my cable thing and saw that it was on like on Friday this week.
Right. Freeform, I think it was.
And so I went ahead and recorded it. So I've got it saved up on the DVR. I'll get it commercial breaks and stuff, but that's fine. You know,
yeah, you can fast forward through those.
Yeah. Do what you got to do with it. But yes.
Nice. So, we'll talk about that next weekend.
Yes. Next week, The Proposal. Then I will have my second pick after that. And I think that's all we've got for this. I mean,
that's all we've got. No, I mean, started with babies and it ended with The Proposal.
What an episode. What an episode. Wow. But yes, thanks everybody for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you listen to your podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating and review on your podcast apps. John, where are they reaching us?
Yep, they can Did you delete the number off
I did.
every old episode too?
did.
No, you didn't. Okay, so first off, they can leave us a voicemail at
Don't look through-
304-627-1889. Oh, or hit us up on social media at Phoning It In Pod, or shoot us an email at phoninginpodcast@gmail.com.
That's right. And as always, a shout out to Miguel Silva-Leone for our theme song. Check out Saving Miles Lemon on Spotify or Apple Music. And with that, that's all we have for this week. Thanks everybody for listening. We will see you next time.